Hi, I'm George. I'm a CEO of Linkology. Some of you guys will know that because you consume my other content. But today I want to talk to you about business and marketing and wider things that brought me into the role. I think I'm going to start building a podcast series around launching businesses and my experience and things that I've done because fundamentally it's central to everything that I do. I don't just own Linkology. I've got an interest in a vehicle wrapping business, a door fitting company, a health insurance brokerage, some holiday lets, a few other different things. So not just into SEO, although the hat says top SEO. I've done SEO for nearly 10 years. My real core experience is, kind of launching businesses, rebranding, getting in big deals, working on campaigns, launching new things. So, yeah, I wanted to kind of go through it. The first thing I wanted to talk about was how I actually got into sales per se. So, one of the things that I really, really, really love doing is going and talking to students at Cirencester College. It's a place that I did my college activity after secondary. And it was probably one of the first places that I really enjoyed education. I had a kind of moment, when you kind of have those moments in life where you could have gone in two different directions. I had a moment during work experience, and what I wanted to do going back to Cirencester College was to be able to try and give another student another one of those crossroad moments. So I'll explain mine. So I did work experience at Seven Sound FM, which is a very well established, I don't know if it's still going, very well established radio station in Gloucestershire. I had a really keen interest in audio and video editing. At the time, it was audio editing because I was into my DJing. There's drum kit in the corner. I've got decks here on my table, still into it. And I went and did work experience. I did really well. I was editing all the Arching at Noon stuff, all the kind of feature bits. And I was only young, but I really enjoyed it. They started giving me some paid work on the weekend. And I remember just sat in an office waiting to go in and kind of have I don't know, some sort of appraisal with my manager. And I was sat next to the ad sales guys. And the meeting was delayed for some reason. So I sat there for about 15, 20 minutes and I just couldn't help but get drawn into the conversation. So these guys were selling advertising time on the radio. And I'd never experienced sales. I'd never seen it happening. Why would I? I was a college student. I didn't actually have any experience in that field. And I just thought, it's so good having these conversations, having lively chats, closing deals. Everyone's really kind of motivated and supportive. It seemed like such good energy. Anyway, was going to finish this course, and I actually got offered a position at Bristol UWE, one of the universities for Bristol, and it was for audio and video editing. Good course. Took a lot of work to get into it. Anyway, that was the plan. Now I sat down with these guys and thought, this is brilliant. What you guys are talking about is absolutely amazing. And I said, did you go to university to learn it? What did you have to do? And they said, no, we didn't. We just went and got basically horrible sales jobs and learned from the bottom. I thought, actually, that could be the way. And I was like, well, what's it like? What kind of money can you earn? What industries can you go into? And they were like, look, it is one of the best industries you can get into. Commission's fantastic. You can go into all sorts of different niches. And I kind of went home at that point and I thought, what, rather than sack myself up to, 60, 70 grand worth of university debt, I thought maybe I'll have a crack at doing some sort of sales. And I went into selling advertising space for hospitals. This was the most horrendous thing to sell. Wayfinder maps around a hospital, fractional display ads. No one wanted to look at them, but the adverts were expensive. They were like 3-4 grand. They were 3-year commitments. It was a real hard sell. But I spent 3 years doing telesales, and then hard KPIs on numbers of calls, contact rate, length of call, conversion rates. Like these KPIs were really, really tricky, but it gave me such a good foundation. So that stopped me going and doing my my editing course, but at the time it was definitely the right decision. So I go to Cirencester College and I go and spend a few days every couple of months with normally year one business or marketing students. I tell them about what it takes to launch a business, the kind of hunger that you need, and the ambition, and kind of rat-like cunning, and willingness to work long hours and feel uneasy about the questions that you're asking, and trying to use assumptive language to close deals and things like that. But as a basis, it was really important. So that's why I decided to give back. That's why I go back to college, because I really enjoy it. But this series is going to be, going through bits and pieces of experience, learning about positioning, how to assess the market, where to kind of get your data from to look at competition, things like that. So I'm going to add those sorts of conversations and videos in and around the link building content. If it's useful, let me know. If there's anything you'd like to know more about, or any sort of topic you'd like me to look into, definitely feel free to reach out. But for now, bye.